Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sydney Dragway and Aeroflow Race for Real. It's Stewie the Pocket Rocket up here in commentary now. I wasn't going to do the intro. I was going to get the Bushman to do it, but no, Bushy just went, nah, you're up. I went, okay, fair enough. But ladies and gentlemen, joining me in commentary tonight, the absolute legend of the commentary team here at Sydney Dragway, Stephen Bush is in the house. Welcome, Bushman.
Thank you very much, Stu. It's fantastic to be here as always. And of course, tonight is one of our theme nights, of course, JDM versus Euro. And we've already can see a number of JDM spec and Euro spec cars out on track. I know the Toyota Hilux is not specifically what you would class as JDM, but in this particular battle,
it is.
It is. We will do our best to pair them up as the night progresses. And of course, we do have plenty of opportunity for racers to get out here tonight and race their car in a safe environment off the street, see what it runs down the quarter mile here at Sydney Dragway. Jump on your phone, jump on Facebook, whatever social media app you're using. Tell your friends to get on down here, bring their helmet, bring some long sleeve clothes, long pants, covered shoes, and a car and a helmet, and you can have a crack at the quarter mile.
Absolutely. We've got a fair few bikes out there as well. I know that we do have some bikes on their way, courtesy of Sydney Random Rides, so they'll be here a little bit later. Some of them aren't all racing, some of them are just coming to spectate, just to check it out, but there are some of their members that are going to give it a hit on the quarter mile this evening. As Steve mentioned, we've got the Mercedes down on track, taking on the Toyota. Of course, on Sunday, in traffic, we're here, and they had a private corporate day here at the track, and that was a little bit of fun. It was good to see a great bunch of those racers come out and have a crack, Steve. But I noticed there's a couple of cars here tonight that were here on Sunday.
Okay, excellent. Good to see. I mean, there was about, I think, 50-odd cars that ran at that event, put on by Matt at In Traffic. And, yeah, hopefully we do pick up a few more regular runners. That was a roll drag, a private hire roll drag. But, of course, here tonight we will be running the Aeroflow Race for Real down the quarter mile with the staggered Christmas tree and the timing beams. It's not the roll drags that we saw on Sunday, but plenty of quick cars on Sunday though. Let me tell you, I think the quickest wasn't a JDM and it wasn't a Euro, but I think it was a HQ. Went 198 k's an hour or something like that from memory. And there was a couple of other muscle cars that were around that sort of time or speed through the speed trap. But of course, tonight is all about trying to test your nerve against the Christmas tree. If we get the prescribed number of competitors through our bike entries and also cars, we do have our of course our reaction time jackpot, which will go to the top 3 recorded reaction times before 8:45 tonight, and but we do need a set number of cars for that to happen. Of course, if you are here and you want to send us a message through either Facebook or preferably the Sydney Dragway official YouTube channel, we are, of course, now streaming that service tonight. So welcome to all our viewers on both of those platforms, both our Facebook and our Sydney Dragway official YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy the coverage. Of course, Ben over here in the back corner of the studio, switching the cams as usual. Look at this Audi go at the top end of the racetrack, Stu. 1099 with a 126 miles an hour. Man, sounding very nice through our track mics.
That is very quick. Now, tonight, Steve, there's a crowd favourite award as well.
Oh, yes.
And spectators will have the chance to vote their top JDM and Euro rides on the night by messaging our Sydney Dragway commentary and production team Facebook page. And there's free competitor entry to the following week's Race for Real will be granted to the winner of each category.
Yes.
And the 2 winners will be announced by Steve and I at the end of the night.
And you're going to monitor that, I'm guessing.
Oh, I think, yeah, I will. I'll aim to anyway. But, guys, let us know what your favourite JDM car that is here running tonight. It's going to be an awesome night of racing. It's good to see some of the regulars here. Good to see Joe Sabello here in a car that other than red. Good to see him bring the Commodore out. We haven't seen that car for a little while.
No, we haven't seen the Commodore here at Sydney Dragway for a while. But with the Datsun being more JDM spec though?
Oh, I think the Datsun would have been, except for the motor. But look, Joe's out here giving this car a run, and hopefully he's got that car sorted, and we can see that car run some pretty quick times out of it. But the Jeep that's sitting next to him, Steve, it sounds super angry. He was coming through scrutineering when I walked up, and number one, it's loud when it's idling, and secondly, it sounds tough, real tough. So I'm interested to see what he gets out of it.
Yeah, because we have seen the SRT Jeeps here at Sydney Dragway on a regular occurrences. There's a number of different combinations running around. There's, of course, the supercharged version, and then there's a few races that have done a sneaky twin turbo conversion with the turbos up under the bumper bar, and we usually are very impressed with how quick they run down the quarter mile. Of course, big speed, and of course they're a heavy car. They're 4,000 odd pound or over 2 tonne nearly. Wow. So a lot of weight to get moving, but they just seem to absolutely scorch down the quarter mile.
We've got a little bit of Euro flavour down on track now. We've got the RS3 Audi down here, and of course they're becoming a bit of a cult car in drag racing terms. There's a lot of them coming out of the woodwork, but in beside him is the beautiful looking Mazda RX-7.
Yes, I know you'd be going for the RX-7 for sure. Wouldn't even have to run that past you.
No, JDM, mate. Mazda all the way. But I'll tell you what, keep your eye on this Audi. As I mentioned, we've got some quick ones that are floating around in the country at the moment, but they seem to be becoming a lot more popular on the drag strip, particularly at this street level. Just like to say g'day to everybody that's watching via YouTube. Gary, who's tuned in pretty early. Up Gypsy, one of our regulars here as well. We've got Optimus Media, Steve, that are watching from New Zealand.
Welcome.
We got Gus Man, who's, I believe, is down in South Australia. But look, it's great to see a whole heap of people tuning in for our weekly Wednesday night church here in Sydney. All right, we got the Ford Focus up against the Falcon.
Bit of Euro versus Aussie muscle on the start line. Of course, the 6-cylinder in the Falcon. .055 on the tree for the Focus in the Aeroflow lane. So that's put that racer in good stead if we do get a number of the pre-described number of cars that we need for the reaction time bonus. And but the Falcon takes the win across the finish line. Stu 13.60 at 107 mile an hour through the finish line, and a 14.19 at 97 for the Focus in the Aeroflow.
Oh, we got Brian, who's also one of our track officials here, out in the Commodore in the Aeroflow lane. He's taking on the Silvio with the Datsun number plates. It's got a bit of a drift look about it.
Yeah, certainly still not running the Silvio power plant. This one V8 on board. Drove past me when I walked around the up towards scrutineering.
Well, Brian out with a 1.93 in the 60, just starting to hug that centre line a little bit. And he goes a 13.10 at 98 miles per hour there. So I dare say he'd be pretty happy with that first pass. All right, we've got the two Falcons out on track. The one on the left was running on Sunday, as Steve and I mentioned, at Tough Street Machines. He's part of that group. It's great to have them here at Sydney Dragway.
Our officials just checking out their rocket lane there. Of course, the Silvio that just went down, having a few issues off the start line. Of course, if you haven't been to Sydney Dragway before, if you do leave the start line and you hear a big bang, or you're not quite sure, something not 100% right, when safe to do so, just pull over to the side of the racetrack, closest to the wall, whichever lane that you're in, and just get the all clear from our officials to ensure that you're safe to continue down the racetrack. If you are leaking something, by stopping, you're stopping the flow of fluid onto the racing surface, and then obviously decreasing the time required to clean any mess up if there is some. So just as I said, as soon as it's safe to do so, just pull over to the side, and if there's nothing there and you can still cruise on down, we'll point you on through. But this should be a bit of a cracker of a race, Stu. We saw this Falcon on Sunday do quite well. It was one of our cars over 190 kilometres an hour.
Yeah, very well set up car, but the Falcon next to him, rock and rolling off the start line, a little bit tail happy at about 30 foot out. Managed to keep his foot into it and keep it stable, and both of them running into the 11-second zone. Look at that, 11:37 at 125.
36 10,000ths of a second across the finish line. Absolutely nothing in that. I didn't think the Silver Falcon in the rocket lane was going to get around him, but only just. That would have been door handle to door handle across the finish line.
I got the HX down here with the 383 power plant in the front of it, and he's taking on the Mercedes. It's a very, very tidy looking HX as well.
It certainly is. So the full custom back on it, the checker plate. I don't know if too many wheelbarrows and cement mixers get put on the back anymore, Stu.
No, I don't think so. But I'll tell you what, we've seen some tough HXs over the years in drag racing. This one doing a great job. A 1272 with the 9 at 106. Great car there for Super Street. Now we've got this VX Commodore down here in the rocket lane, which sounds super tough, but keep your eyes on this first timer down here in the Jeep. This thing, I'm expecting some big numbers out of it. As I mentioned, it's making all the right noises.
Certainly very low to the ground, although I did notice it has absolutely massive wheels on it.
It
so
does.
Not quite sure how that's going to help the rollout, but certainly looking very, very sharp on the start line. Well, 157 to the 60, Stu.
Wow. Sounded like he was pedaling it a little bit. He's got off it at about three-quarter track. He goes 11:22 at 105.
Wow. Just to put that in perspective, that racer was doing 100 mile an hour at half track. So only put on 5 mile an hour in the top half. And as we picked up, he certainly wasn't in the throttle much past half track. But I dare say that will probably change as the night progresses. The Commodore racer in the rocket lane has done exactly what I've asked them to do. Right where that official is, there was a lot of noise from our track cams and a whole heap of I don't know if it was like dust, exhaust dust or something, but it didn't sound marvellous on the track mics.
No, I'm just wondering, Steve, whether he's given the little bit of a drive shaft a bit of a tickle.
Well, by the sound of it, it was right on where a shift point would have been. So I'm hoping that's not a gearbox or anything along those lines. But our track staff just checking out the racing surface. Doesn't seem to be anything too urgent down there.
Well, as Steve mentioned, that racer's done the right thing. He's tried to move to the right, stop the car as quickly as possible, but it's not one very happy Holden. But to tell you what, for that first timer who just went down in the big Jeep, you know, ladies and gentlemen, when he comes up the return road, put your hands together for him, because 11:22 out of a big car, and as Steve mentioned, only 100 miles an hour.
There is a bunch left in that car that's going to be into the mid-10s easy.
Well, guys, while we're just getting this car attended to, we'll get a few words from our sponsors. You're here at Aeroflow Race for Real with the Rocket and the Bushman. We'll be back very, very soon.
How does an engine keep going out here? Well, that was an easy one.
Bang shift shifters from Aeroflow Performance are truly the modern shifter for the modern age. Featuring a full bespoke billet case, all shifters are designed for right-hand drive vehicles with an LED lit gear position indicator. Available in either ratchet or gated options, as well as OEM replacement shifters for popular Holden and Ford vehicles. A large range of Bang shift spares are available for each shifter that includes shifter cables, brackets, lever and gate kits, trans brake buttons and drop boxes for the ideal mounting solution. Shift into gear and check out a full listing at aeroflowperformance.com.
Well, we are back here at Aeroflow Race for Real. Unfortunately, we still got that VX Commodore sitting on the track, and it didn't sound too good. But if you're watching here at the track, you're up in the stands. We've got that big Jeep coming over the return road. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. 11:22, and it wasn't even at full song after half track. So, tell you what, Steve, if that thing runs mid-10, that's going to be a party out there.
I certainly think so, Stu. You went 1.5 to the 60, so
that's crazy.
Moving in the first half of the racetrack. So, let's just see what's going to happen. No pressure on the driver. Of course, it's all about feeling comfortable. Might not have driven the car that quickly before. We're not about to go and pressure you to go and race and do a gazillion mile an hour if you're not comfortable. So, of course, yes, it is a drag strip, but come out and do what you as a racer feel comfortable in doing and work up on it. Because even in a car like that, things do not always go to plan.
Now, we did mention earlier that Smoking Joe Sabello is here tonight. And, he didn't bring the Datsun, the Skyline that he normally does. He's actually brought the Commodore out. So I was actually going to go down and make sure that his temperature's okay. But because we haven't seen that car for a long, long time. But, this car's had a lot of work done to it by Rigoli Racing. Vince and the team there, they've been helping out with the tuning. Joe's had this car, 3 years now?
Longer
4 years?
Much longer than that.
Longer than that now? Yeah.
I would say. I'm sure Joe will tell you next time you're out walking around.
Yeah.
But, certainly it's been a car that's been in the stable for quite some time. And we don't always see it, certainly not as well. It doesn't have as many race miles on it as the Datsun does. But that's okay. Of course, that's the beauty of having a couple of cars in your stable. You can rotate them as one's getting some maintenance or getting a rest or whatever you want to call it. Yes, Ben, that's a very good point. I think the Skyline has probably got one of the highest race miles that any car down Sydney Dragway has ever got, and the trailer between Marston Park and here has got equally as many miles on it because it has to get towed here, of course. But Joe has been racing here at Sydney Dragway, not only here at the Aeroflow Race for Reals, but also in our local track championships and our national events that we have as well. So well practiced and usually goes a number of rounds in competition, and is always a threat to the driver in the other lane.
Yeah, it's a similar setup in this car as what he's got in the Skyline, but my understanding with this car is that in theory it should be running a little bit quicker than the Skyline once it's sorted. So that's always an exciting thing. You've got a car like the Skyline, which is super consistent, and then you've got this car, which is probably in development. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be an animal when it's sorted. But it's great to see Joe out here tonight in the Commodore.
Well, as I walked past it, Stu, it didn't look like it had a massive tyre under it. So I don't know if he's running like a 10.5 or something. I didn't stop to look at the size tyre, but they're definitely tucked well inside the rear guard. So maybe there's a theory there or something that he's trying to develop. But I'm sure we'll see in a few moments what his first run will bring to us.
Yeah, Mr. Move 4 litre or Mov 4 litre. Joe has had his cars for donkey's years. Good cookie boy. So he certainly does, and doing a great effort too. And as Steve said, a great supporter of drag racing here in Sydney. If there's an event, normally Joe's at it. Well, he's fired up the Commodore The gate's closed. We're about to resume racing. It is our Euro versus JDM night here at the track.
Not requiring a massive RPM in the burnout like the Datsun usually hits the tyres pretty hard in the burnout, but producing more than enough heat there. Quite a nice afternoon here at Sydney Dragway. Of course, a little bit humid out there at the moment, but not going to stop us having a good time. 0.95 on the tree for Joe. Basically just cruising on down 11.90. And looks like we're going to get into our first round for our motorcycles here tonight. Stu?
Yeah, great to have the bikes here tonight as part of Aeroflow Race for Real, and a lot of them love to put on a good show. A couple of times Steve, Mark and I have sat here and think, oh, it's a bit of a hairy moment, but sometimes they get them up on the rear wheel. As I was talking to one of my friends the other day, Steve, who rides, she asked me, what's it like drag racing? I said, well, it's a lot different to the street. There's a little bit more grip. So you've really got to feather your clutch. You've got to be a little bit careful. As we've got the Hayabusa down here in the Aeroflow lane. One of our other track officials, Michael Riches, is racing tonight. He'll be coming out very soon.
Both races into a full stage now. That second white light on, telling the starter that they're ready to go. Both away with similar reaction times, but the Hayabusa much more performance. Straight down the right-hand side of the Aeroflow lane, runs on through for a 9.95 with a 144 miles an hour through the finish line. Just to put that into perspective, Stu, that's about 225-ish kilometres an hour. So certainly moving on that on the Hayabusa.
Yeah, 1.73 in the 60 for the Bozo. Michael out now on the AMS water meters Suzuki GSXR 750. Just recently, of course, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, he's just put the extended swing arm on the bike. But it doesn't matter if you run modified bike or you got a street bike. It is all about consistency. And a .009 on the tree for Michael. 1.73 in the 60, and he runs on through with a 10.37 at 132 to an 11.87 at 129. As it looks like we've got the victory out, which I think is Michael's dad out there in the rocket lane. Now, we're no strangers to seeing bikes here with very skinny rear tyres. Of course, Brett Copping does come out on the old Suzuki that he rides now and again. But I don't know what these two are trying to do. Guys, it's not like the street guys. There's a couple of witches' hats, but...
That's okay. We'll show you a couple of times if you haven't done it before. Yeah. It's all good. It's the first time for everything here at Sydney Dragway, and both races here just going a little bit further than they should have. Ridden straight through the staging beams, of course, just trying to shorten the track up a little bit.
Yeah. Now, I can't imagine what it would be like trying to launch a bike. Doesn't matter of the amount of CCs, but with a little skinny rear tyre like that, obviously you don't have as much contact patch on the track. That'd be a little bit of fun, I reckon.
Well, I think It would be, but I guess it would just spin rather than it's not going to hook up as much. Even if it does hook up on the racing surface, I'd imagine that it would spin before it throws you into a big wheel stand or something along those lines. Yeah. Big burnout from the Hyundai in the Aeroflow lane. The smoke's still wafting out from under it. I can't say I've ever seen a big burnout like that from a Hyundai.
I was going to say, you put those two words in the sentence, so I totally agree with you, Steve. The last time I saw a Hyundai do a big burnout was a car that used to do burnouts, but it had a V8 in the front of it. So it was technically it was only a half Hyundai.
Yes, it was not factory spec.
No, Mark Johnson in the old pink Hyundai XL. But the Hyundai i30N about to take on the Toyota Hilux.
And the Hilux away first, but I think the Hyundai is going to be in front at around the 330-foot mark. And we'll show the Hilux the way down the corner, 13.05, 108 miles an hour. Till 15.0 in the rocket lane at 92. Pair of Mark 6 Golfs on the start line. Yep. Always been a big fan of the blue of the Golf in the Aeroflow lane studio.
Yeah, it is a nice shade of blue, that one too. And I mean, been a little while since we've seen some of the quick Golfs here in Sydney make their way out here to Wednesday night.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Galano car for a while.
No.
That's one of the quickest in the world, that car, Mark 7.
Yeah, and even some of the street-based Parkotech customers. Haven't seen a lot of their cars out, but both the Golfs, pretty aggressive on the launch. 2.08 launch there to the 60 for the blue one. And the Golf in the Aeroflow lane running on through with the 1353, 102 miles per hour for both of them.
Just working out that DSG gearbox. Of course, the traction here at Sydney Dragway, a little bit better than what you'll find on the street. Although it's not that glued up that you're, we don't want to break cars. We just want to give you a little bit better traction than what you'll have on the road.
Let's say good afternoon or good evening to DJ Prowse. G'day, DJ Prowse. Hope you're well, mate. Yeah, oh yeah, you're right, Ben. Ben said he's no longer in the house. Well, he's always in the house. All right, Joseph Bello, 0.049 on the tree, running on through in 11.57, 119. Kind of hoping that we might see something a little bit more aggressive out of that car, but as Steve mentioned, he's only running small tyres on the back of it, so whether the traction problem for him, which is slowing him down in the first part of the racetrack, I'm not really quite sure, but knowing Joe, he'll want to get that car sorted. I got the Audi taking on the Falcon.
Gee, these Audi wagons are so aggressive, aren't they? The big flared guards on them. Sounding absolutely marvellous down the rocket lane here.
Yeah, 1.87 to 60. It's on a mission.
Hitting 160 k's an hour at half track, and it runs on through for an 11.10 at 126 miles an hour. So again, just nudging that 210 mark, something like that. Just seemed to almost do it effortlessly.
Yeah, it certainly looked good off the line, didn't it?
quite sure what's happened with our Statesman driver down here in the Aeroflow lane.
I think he might have got a little bit excited.
Didn't follow instruction.
Yep.
Yes, just keep your eye out for all of our Sydney Dragway officials in the blue shirt. When you get your sticker marked off in the staging lanes, come under the tunnel and you'll be held by someone in the numbers box. You'll see 2 big squares painted on the bitumen. You need to stop in that square. We take note of your T number or your race number, if it might be. That's given to the people upstairs via radio. And then when given the signal, move forward into the water, halt in the water until Chris down there in the black cap gives you the signal to move forward and commence your burnout. And then once you do your burnout, roll up to the start line and you can see Keithy and Billy on the start line. And they will give you any assistance if required to bring the car into the staging beams, of course, which are located just forward of the 2 big yellow witches' hats. When you bring on that top white light, that's called pre-stage. You've then got 15 centimetres, 6 inches roughly, before you bring on the second white light, which is full stage. Once you're into full stage, stop the car, and then the tree will count down, just like we're seeing now. And then once it goes green, you're free to go. And of course, the timers do not start until you move away from the start line. So you could sit there for 30 seconds if you've got a car that you need to build boost, whatever it might be, to ensure that you're going to get the ET that you want. A little bit of fume out of the Mercedes as it goes across the finish line, but a 12.91, Stu, I'm going to give him 110. Yeah. Because I'm feeling generous. It was 109.99. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And of course, once you get to the big scoreboards, the finish line is right about there for the quarter mile. And if you've got plenty of room to stop down before the turnaround at the top end of the racetrack. Come back along the return road at 20 k's an hour is the speed limit. Go around under the tunnel, round to the left. Stop at the window at the edge of the scrutineering shed, get your time card, and then if you're happy to do another run, come back around to the staging lanes and wait in your pre-described lane that was given to you when you signed on at registration.
I'll tell you what, that Audi down there, 11.73 at 116, it was not mucking around either, 1.7 in the 60 as we got the Ford Focus about to take on the Mazda RX-7.
Well, I think, Stu, you made the point before about how popular the Audis are becoming, and I guess more and more workshops are coming online that are offering, I guess, known combinations that will give X power output or X performance. So if you have an RS3 2022 model, most tuning shops will know that if you do this mod, this mod, this mod, and this mod, it's going to cost you X amount, but this is what you're going to get.
That's right.
Right, and it's pretty, in most cases, it's pretty cut and dry. They know that those mods are going to give you that performance, and that's generally what it will do. You obviously want to vary that, a bit more boost or whatever, then a little bit more tuning is required. But certainly the advantage of the modern motor car, I guess, if you can modify the tune with a relatively small amount of modifications and still retain all your drivability and all your functions, like winner. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's not like ye old days where you like the 2 Falcons on the start line. Oh, 019 for the silver car in the Aeroflow lane. Nice reaction time. I think we'll see the silver car comfortably across the finish line first in this run. 10.97 with a 3, 126 miles an hour. And an 11.74 with a 3 at 115 for the purple model. So just going back to what I was saying, we're back in ye old day with those Falcons. If you wanted those cars to run 11s or whatever it might be back then, you had to put big cams in, big carbies and stuff like that. And that would generally be at the sacrifice of somewhere else. You'd make power at the top end of the rev range, but it wouldn't be great to drive down low, for example. So there was a constant battle of setting the car up to be drivable on the road as well as at the racetrack. But of course, with modern motor cars, it can be as simple as pushing a few buttons, and cars like Audis and the later model motorcar have track mode, so you can change the whole tune, the whole stance, the whole suspension of the car with a couple of sometimes complicated sequence of buttons and pushing, horns and bits and pieces, and then that unleashes, another 30 horsepower and lifts the shift RPM and changes the gear a lot harder and faster through the gearbox, and you can still drive at home with the air conditioner going comfortably in traffic. It's a good way to go racing, I reckon.
I reckon it is too, and of course with the advancement of software too,
Yes.
Nowadays it's got to plug a computer up and a lot can happen as well. Now we're just doing a quick little mop up in lane 1. That's the Aeroflow lane. So we're just doing a quick little mop up off the start line that our start line crew have just picked up. There is also a couple of people down in the deep end as well, so we're just having a look. So we do have to double check that nothing was leaking out of a particular car, and we might have to do a little bit of a scrub depending if there is actually something on the racetrack. So judging by the tractor coming up the return road, I dare say we're going to have a quick scrub. So while this is happening, guys, we're just going to go get a few words from some of our sponsors. You're here at Aeroflow Race for Real. It's our JDM versus Euro theme night. We'll be back very, very soon.
How would it be if we funded a pilot program for you to run that enabled you to bring some vision impaired kids onto the Saints Play program?
Oh wow, that would mean the world. My reward is the smile on the kids' faces.
And since you've given so much to others, we'd also like to do something for you personally. How would it feel if Pepper sent you, your partner, and your daughter Molly to the Gold Coast for a few days?
Yeah, awesome. I don't know what to say. It amazes me. Thank you very much.
Stay informed, up to date and entertained thanks to the Western Weekender. The Western Weekender is Penrith's leading free and local newspaper, delivering the best content from on-the-ground journalists and providing businesses with direct access to potential customers. News, sport, entertainment, puzzles and so much more. The Western Weekender is the heartbeat of Penrith and it's out every Thursday. Get your free copy at selected locations in the area, home delivered, or check out westernweekender.com.au.
Boosted turbochargers from Aeroflow Performance are designed for the automotive enthusiast who wants optimal performance at a competitive price. We have a range of turbochargers in both ceramic ball bearing and 360-degree journal bearing options to suit your power goals from 200 up to 3,000 horsepower. To help turbocharge your vehicle, Aeroflow Performance also have a large range of turbocharger accessories. From steam pipe turbo manifolds, external wastegates and intake and exhaust solutions, you can have your car boosted in no time. For a full listing, check out aeroflowperformance.com.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, not too far away from jumping back into racing. We've had that little bit of a spill all cleaned up. We've got the HX about taking on the Mercedes.
Didn't these two race each other last time?
I'm pretty sure they did.
I'm pretty sure they did too.
Yep. Well, guys, if you're tuning in via the live stream, we're having a few little issues. Hopefully we can get that back up and running very, very soon. So we do apologise